And the great thing is it's nice and cool weather. So it's great for these plants to grow roots. The ground is nice and cool, but the sun is still out. So the leaves will capture the energy it needs. So these right here, all right, I guess I could start talking about deer-proof gardens. The general rule of thumb for deer-proof gardens is deer don't like, and I said this over and over and over again, if this is your first time hearing it, that's okay, just try to remember it. Pokey and smelly plants. They don't like pokey and smelly plants. And see how I water these? I don't go to the leaves, the tops of the leaves, on these brand new plants especially. I try to water at their feet. So they don't love pokey and smelly plants. Uh-oh, careful. So when you have these plants, I don't know if you know what they are yet. These I got through mail order as well, because they had just the right color and the right size. The client doesn't like things to look overgrown. So these are a miniature version of bee balm. And it's called Pardon My Purple. And you can see that they cut back the stems before they mail them, because it doesn't matter. It's the leaves and the roots right now for perennials. That's what's most important, leaves and roots. So the deer don't like pokey and smelly plants. And then there are some that they just don't seem to mess with. So in this case here, the bee balm is smelly. Now bee balm, if you get the leaves all wet, or if it rains a lot and it's not in a windy location, a place that really gets a lot of circulation, they can get some powdery mildew. So I'm choosing these because one, they've got sun, and two, they're going to have plenty of airflow. They attract hummingbirds, butterflies, bees, little bees, big bees, wasps that don't hurt you, the good kind of wasps, like predator wasps, and all kinds of different things. So this place back here for them is good because their entertainment area is over there. If she wants to see them, she could look over and she will see hummingbirds and bees and things like that. But because it's off from a lot of the activity of the house, these things are going to come in from the side. They're going to be very, very happy to visit the flowers. All right. If you're following along, here's our first pop quiz. What types of plants do deer not like? What types of plants do deer not like? Two types in particular. One with a P, one with an S. I'm also checking to see how the soil flows. Make sure the roots are not exposed. That berm, I didn't like that berm, so I'm going to fix that berm a little bit. There we go. And they don't have to be deep wells to capture water, just enough to capture the first 3, 4, 5 rainfalls. And eventually the soil will go back to normal level. I'm also trying to make the water really, really light. Okay, so pokey and smelly plants. So I already mentioned these. Bee balm, Monarda. They come in all different, I want to say flavors and colors. They do come in all different colors and all different sizes. These are dwarfs. They're not going to get very large, and they're not going to spread out like crazy. This means they're also a hybrid, so they're not a native plant. These are not the native kind. Again, the client does not like things that look overgrown. If I were to plant natives in here, they would not like it because it will just take over. Yeah. So those are smelly. If you were to stand here, if we had smell-o-vision, you would smell them. They're very delicious, delicious smelling. They also are from the mint family, and you can see that the stems a little bit hollow. And a lot of times what I like to do is I don't like, because they were shipped, they were cut off to make it easier for the plant, less stressful, and easier to get well established. But If these were mine in the fall and they were already in here all year, I would have left them up, just to leave them up. Now you can come by and you can deadhead them, and insects can make homes inside the stalks as well. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not going to hurt anything. So those are smellies. Now, oops, I got some water on my coneflowers over here. I mean some dirt. These don't care if you get them wet on top. That's fine. Those solar panels do not get all fussy. Coneflowers, I'll show you in a minute. Coneflowers, deer don't like. These are the pink coneflowers. These are the native versions of coneflowers, and they do not like them. Deer do not like these plants. So I really planted a lot in this garden. All around here, over here, and in this section are the larger variety of coneflower, and back there are the smaller variety. Deer do not like coneflower. Show me a picture of a deer eating a coneflower, and then I'll change my mind. But right now, from my experience, they do not like coneflower because they're pokey. And I'm going to water this again. This is a heritage river birch. Great shade tree, fast grower. It doesn't mind it at all wet. It likes it wet, and this is kind of a wet area over here. It is kind of on a mound, but the root zone is actually down at ground level, sunk down. So I'm going to fill this well once now, and then once again when I leave. These are all dirty. Coneflower. Okay, so far, deer don't like coneflower. They don't like Monarda. They don't like Monarda bee-balm because it smells, but everything else likes Monarda. Great plant to have if you've got deer in your yard, in your neighborhood. Every time I come to this client's house, there are side roads that I take where there's deer crossing. There were just some deer crossing today. There were deer crossing about a week ago when we came here, and a week before that. Now, I do have the Asters here, but what's going to happen is the deer will come up here, and they'll smell the smellies, and they're not going to be that interested. They like to come to the very edge first and put their nose out just to touch the plant and see. If it's pokey, they're like, oh, that hurts. If it's smelly, oh, that doesn't smell like it's tasty. And even if they were to come up and take a bite of the coneflower, they won't like the leaf, so they're going to run away. They're not going to want to eat that at all. Here's more examples of pokies, German irises. I would not have thought of them, but the client already has irises everywhere, Siberian and German irises, and the deer aren't touching them. So this is great. Plus, it gives us a really solid leaf against the fluffies. Now back there is a butterfly bush. Deer won't like that because it's smelly. It's another herb. Deer don't like the herbs that are smelly. So they don't like the pokey. You'll see better pokey coneflower in a minute. And they don't like the smelly. Now, I noticed the previous person who put their landscape in had put in Japanese forest grass. There was no deer damage. So I added more. So I duplicated the German iris that she already had, and I duplicated the forest grass. Deer don't like them. Great. Okay, over here we got some asters. Now I got the asters. They might like the asters. I haven't had deer at my asters. Sounds funny. At home. At least that I've noticed. I haven't seen deer damage. I haven't seen like plants ripped up. I haven't seen leaves torn away or flowers torn off. Anything like that. But they also are going to attract the pollinators. We're going to have food for the pollinators for the fall, which is important. The other part is I put the asters far enough inside the garden on the inside of the area that the deer would be less likely to want to, venture over here. And I'll show you more in a minute. Again, I want to make sure I get these plants watered. We've had a great, cool couple weeks. Finally, we got the sun out. It was cloudy for a long, long time. Super cloudy for a long time, and the plants can't make as much food when it's cloudy. irises. Okay, now behind the aster, the purple aster, is lavender. Nice and smelly. So sometimes you plant a beautiful garden and the deer are like, oh, thank you for this restful environment. But if they come up here and it's smelly, they may be less likely to bed down at night in it. The added benefit with the lavender is it smells good. You can bring it in, you can cut it, easy to grow, medicinal, and of course, the pollinators love them too. I haven't seen butterflies or hummingbirds at lavender, but that's probably because the flowers are so tiny. I do see tons and tons of big bees, little wasps, little wasps, and that's good. So you want those things. And the aster, you can see, is an open flower. It's small, but it's an open flower, and in the middle has pollen. If you were to put these asters in the ground, the mums will come back if you're careful with them, if you mulch them. But especially the asters. If people are selling asters, pick those up instead of mums. Because if you look at a mum, you won't see any pollinators on them, really. I mean, yes, it's colder, but they don't like mums because there's no pollen available. They do like asters, and asters bloom in the fall. All right, another pokey is Siberian iris. The cool thing about irises is they're going to have spring blooms. And then they're just going to mind their manners and be this beautiful sword that deer don't like. I like that. They also provide vertical interest, which we like. I always try to do something solid and vertical against things that are more fluffy, lacy. And when I plant deer-proof gardens, I never, ever, I will never, ever plant hostas. Because for deer, hostas are candy. They're not pokey. They're not smelly. And they taste like candy. They love them. Oh, that leaf is not good. Let's cut it off. Oh, look it, there's a spider. That's a happy garden. That's a happy garden. Look, he's mad at me because wait, where'd he go? Oh yeah, there he is. He's mad at me because I'm watering, disturbing his deal. But to see a spider is good. These are not, I don't think they weren't the autumn joy sedum. I thought I put a tag here. I think they were called like firehouse sedum. What I thought happens is see, there was a bee there. What I thought happens is that the leaves turn red in the fall, which they still might. But they're so happy. Look at that. And they have blooms in the fall that pollinators love. The bees, the butterflies, the hummingbirds, and the landscape company got more grass on it. That's okay. These leaves are super thick and solid, and they're a nice contrast to the thinner leaves and fluffy leaves of other things. And in a lot of things, gardens look better when you plant more than one of the flower together. The other part is, and again, they're deer proof. That's the whole point, Tam, is they're deer proof. Everything in here, the deer are not going to eat. So far, everything you've seen, the deer are not going to eat. Now, they might try to get some of these lower leaves of the Heritage River Birch, but they're not going to hurt the plant by doing that. All right, so there's your sedum. Got more German irises. And let's see, what else can I show you? Got more lavender here. More German iris. More aster. This is an anemone, another Japanese plant. And the client has anemones out front, and nothing is bothering them. So I said, well, if the deer don't eat your anemones out front, where it's wide open to the deer, then they're not going to bother them back here. So I got her anemones here. I've got her some anemones past the tree, and there's some over there as well. And come around. I'll finish the watering in a minute. Come around here. See more coneflowers? And then if the deer were to come up even from the back and touch the coneflowers, they're very, very pokey to their nose. If you see coneflowers in the nursery or in someone's garden, go and touch them. You wouldn't like it. So picture a deer putting their nose right up against it. It pokes them, they jump back, they're startled. They don't like to be startled. So they say, well, maybe I need to leave it alone. More Siberian iris. The leaves change in color is going to be normal in the fall. So we got the lavender for smells, scents, medicinal purposes, smelly, the deer don't like it. We've got anemone for more flowering. I think these are going to be white flowers. And a little bit of change in the leaf contrast and the leaf color. We got some Siberian iris for height. We got a lot of pokey flowers back here. Another Japanese forest grass for continuation, continuity. We got one here, and then the anemone is kind of the same color, so it kind of pops a little bit of bright green. And again, the deer are not going to bother it. Now, I can't guarantee that other animals won't. Maybe a gopher, or maybe a badger or whatever. Not moles. Moles might dig in here looking for worms, because there will be a lot of worms in here. Now that these plants are taking root in the soil, the soil is getting more healthy. That's how you saw that spider. That's how you see bees flying around and things like that. All kinds of creatures are in the soil now. I also added compost too, and like livened it up a little bit. So she had some geraniums already, and this area here was full of lady's mantle, which the deer don't bother. This is not pokey, or it's not even smelly, but they don't bother it. So this garden had like 4 lady's mantle and a whole lot of yellow coreopsis, which the client wasn't really in love with those. So we moved the coreopsis to the back and the lady's mantle to the back. I saved them all. I just left one, so it's not going to be overgrown. More asters. Siberian iris. This is the colors they're supposed to be. So this will be the spring color right here. That's the fall color, because the asters will come back. And they'll come around here. More Japanese forest grass. And again, the deer, they decide to come on up here. They're walking. They're going to come up to this and be like, ew, this doesn't taste like something delicious. There's no deer damage. These have been in about 2 weeks. That's been in at least a week. This is another anemone. This is going to grow tall white flowers like this. It's going to look like this. And it's a hybrid, but this is what she has out front, and they're doing fine. So, of course, I'm going to duplicate it. If the deer don't like it, I want to put it in the garden with it. So the forest grass is fine. Anemone is fine. We got more smellies. So not just smellies, but what else? Pokies. I'm putting a couple of yucca. Again, if the deer come up, maybe they bypass this and they bypass that. They come up to the lavender. Ew. It stinks. They come up to the yucca. Put their nose up. Oh, it pokes me. I don't like it. Now, she already had phlox back here, kind of protected against the wall. The deer aren't really going to go bother the phlox. I did put in a hibiscus here for some large drama. And the hibiscus is going to really fill in this whole space at some point, which is fine. It's got room to grow. It's protected by the pokies and the smellies, kind of. And even if a deer were to come up and take some of them, it's not going to hurt it. It's going to keep growing back. And these don't bloom until summer. You don't even see them until, a lot of times, till late May or early June. So that's what you can do. I mean, if you've got some, deer sensitive plants that they really love and they think are candy, you could put them in the center of the pokey and smelly stuff and the things that the deer don't really like to start with. So that's what you can do with plants. Let's see, what do I do over here? Ooh, it's so wet over here. Squish, squish, squish. And again, we like that. The heritage river birch, going to be so happy. And they do have Pokey spruce trees. So if the deer come up, they may not want to hang out here because it's Pokey. Put some more asters in to kind of draw in pollinators from this side over here. They'll see the color and they'll come and land on them. Transplanted the coreopsis here. I'm going to top these off while I'm here and get rid of all the flower heads because we really want them to grow roots. Another another anemone. And what I saw in the front is her anemone kind of trailed down. So I'm kind of leaving a little bit of space for it to kind of fill in here. And then we got the lady's mantle. Transplanted pretty well. Yes, there are some dead leaves and that could be from shock. But next year it's going to come back just fine. Lady's mantle is really not fussy. It does take over a lot of room though. So if you plant a small plant, plan for it to get really large. Give it space to grow, or you're going to have to move it or divide it. And who wants to do that all the time? Well, some people do, but I don't. Yeah, and so with the vertical plants, get some wind, action. You see the German iris is moving too. Where I put the liatris over here, it's kind of wobbly too. Move it around. And that's another thing that deer don't love. They don't love moving things. So even the butterfly bush moves around. But like I said, the butterfly bush is more of an herb and it smells bad to them. They're not going to eat it. They'll come up and they'll see, I don't want that. So I've got more liatris over here against the coneflower to attract the pollinators. And then the dwarf monarda that are not going to be rude and take over. Another liatris poking its head out. German irises. See them in the back. Everything's like glistening. It's so cool. Like from the dew. And I tried to keep it in really just a very basic color scheme. Light purple, light pink. I do plan to put more bee balm behind these liatris, like in this space, right up in here. So these bee balm here, deer proof. Again, deer proof. I'm not going to put anything in a garden that a deer is going to eat if it's in a deer area. This is called Pardon My Purple. Here it looks pink, but it's not really pink. It is actually purple. It's like a darker purple. And then over there, when the monarda come in, it's going to be like a lighter purple. And I'm going to put them right up and behind the liatris. So the leaves of those, the stems are going to get taller. And that way they're kind of sheltered. It won't look as crazy or overgrown with the leaves back there of the tall monarda. And they're going to attract pollinators too. And then these are the shorter ones here. So we'll just see peaks of color, purple. And this heritage river birch will probably come back and start trimming the really low branches up maybe to about here. Because that's one of the nice things about heritage river birch are the feet. Is being able to see the feet. And that also allows plants underneath to get light. More light for them to grow, and airflow, which is super important. That's why I don't want people planting like up against a house or a building, because you're not going to get that much airflow and you'll be less likely to get the light that you need, and it might be too hot depending on if it's a brick building or a hot metal building. So this area is nearly done. I'm pretty pleased with how it's turning out so far. And they're all perennials right now. So perennials are going to sleep this first year. They're going to overwinter. They're going to come back up in the spring. They're going to creep. They're going to go real slow. And then by the third year, they will leap. So they will really start filling in. They'll start filling in next year, but they'll really start filling in at that third year. And this is basically going to be a maintenance-free, very, very low maintenance perennial garden, which is going to be nice. Very nice for them. And hummingbirds, butterflies, bees, other pollinators will come and visit. Their grandkids could see them. They can teach them about it. They can take in some cuttings of flowers. They can use the lavender. They could use echinacea. Things like that. And I said these are miniature. Oh, and they like part shade too. Here, look at this one. It says they will go into full sun or part sun. And they're only going to be 10 to 12 inches high. Not very tall, but enough that the pollinators will come visiting. And because the feet of the tree are going to be a little bit more visible, you'll be able to see the pollinators. And again, deer proof. Deer proof. Doesn't have to be colorless. Does not have to be colorless. So bee balm, coneflower, butterfly bush, lady's mantle, coreopsis, asters, anemone, like a sea anemone, but it's a plant anemone, and they're Japanese, and they come in different varieties. I did plant 2 of the large kind here. They're going to get tall. They're going to get probably 2-3 feet tall with white flowers. She's got them in the front yard. And there's one over there. So it's going to be like a little nice little statue thing and blowing in the wind. Deer don't like them. Again, yucca, lavender, irises, pokey smellies, sedum. They don't bother them. Deer-proof gardens can be beautiful. And this is a deer-proof perennial garden. And I really say deer-proof because they're not going to eat these. Pokey smellies, they don't like them. Deer-proof garden. Sorry I was a little late. But I say better late than never, right? Okay, almost done. I got to wrap it up and head back. Chief has to fix my new car. It's kind of sad. So I'll finish watering and see y'all later. Love you guys. Tammy Lowe, Lazy Northern Gardener. Saying learn and grow some more. Bye. I forgot to say that if you like what I have to say and you like my tips and tricks and things, go ahead and like, subscribe, comment, share, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, send smoke signals. And I'm going to show you one other thing. Look at this. So I'm in the back side of the bed. I'm getting ready to water this anemone. And look at this, friend. Look at that. A cicada. And not a dead one. Not one that's in a shell. Not the one that's molting. But it's a cicada. How exciting.